And welcome back for another episode. Let's take a quick peek on what's going on. So first of all, with our trade deals, we are actually now out of debt, at least for the time being. We'll probably get plenty later on, but we do have a lot of trade partners. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the previous episode, but we are trading with the Dutch and the Portuguese as well. So that gave us a lot of money, and that should keep our economy afloat for most of the year, not necessarily all of it, but it's pretty good, I say. We haven't actually started any new colonies yet. There hasn't really been all that great options, in all honesty. Like, sure, there might be some, for example, in Mediterranean, like that's Alexandria, then there's Moon that has a few minerals, and then there's the gas giants, and that's it. I mean, we haven't explored everything yet, so there is that. But we haven't just found all that great locations, to be fair. Now, in terms of fleet changes, we'll be sending in the Mediterranean fleet. We've left enough of a reserve fleet to make sure that there's no unrest in our colonies, or mostly Alexandria. And we'll also be sending in a fleet from the Black Sea to join us on this. But basically what we'll do is we'll sail with a decent enough fleet, or rather large fleet actually, to Tunis, because we've had permission from the pirates to actually utilize the port as a base of operations in the West Mediterranean. And what we will be doing, hopefully sometime this year, is probably going to be more like autumn or something like that when it actually happens, because of the sailing times. But we hope to, first of all, lift the blockade on Rome by force. Of course, prior to that, we'll send in some 7th rates, not the survey variants, but the armed variants, disguised as survey ships, to discover which one is less defended, Toulon or Barcelona, and then we'll attack the weaker one. Now, of course, no one else is aware of this than the Ottoman High Command, so it's going to be a nice little surprise, I'd say. We do indeed intend to claim our rightful claims in the Mediterranean, and we might even try to capture Rome at some point. But first we need to make sure that there's no French blockade there anymore, and we are prepared to sink any ships there, as well as also destroy all the coastal defenses in probably both Barcelona and Toulon, but we'll have to see how that goes. First we need to get to Tunis and then send out the scouts. But that is essentially the plans for this year. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to do, but I certainly hope that it will be rather exciting. So I'll see you in a bit. Our fleet's heading towards Tunis should be arriving there in less than 3 months, but we have completed research on the bigger caliber cannons, so now we're focusing on getting a bit more of the research that we're currently working on. So it's going to be the fire controls, or accuracy over range is going to be another focus now, so that we'll get it done this year instead of next year. We have completed research on higher maintenance capacity for our maintenance facilities, so now we start researching better gunpowder storing, which will then of course unlock better sales, and then we can get our ships to be a little bit quicker. We have completed research on higher wealth generation finally, so that should at least keep the economy more or less in check, taking into account the trade deals that we have. So we should be able to at least have a decent bit of money at the start of next year, and it should last for a little bit longer. We've now started focusing a bit more on the better gunpowder storage, so we added 5 labs for that, and then we started researching a little bit on the research rate. That's going to be a long project, so it's not going to be finished anytime soon, but in the meanwhile we'll try to get some of the research done. And at the same time, our ships are approaching Tunis. It's still going to take about until the end of the month, end of April, and then they'll refuel there. We'll send out some scouts to Barcelona and Toulon to figure out which one of them has less ships defending, and the defenses in general. We should be able to figure out that though. And then what we can do is we'll also send out a patrol close enough to Rome that if there is still a French blockade there, we can break it and then regroup with the rest of the fleet going towards whichever of these 2 ports is better suited for our raid. And of course we do also plan on invading Rome at some point, but we don't have the troops quite ready for that. We have been building a lot of them, Actually, let's have a look real quick. Are we still building... Oh, we do actually have room here. Let's get some siege batteries. That's probably going to be rather useful. And then over here, we have been building a lot of light infantry, so... we're going to need more baggage trains, actually. So, but one of those. Then maybe let's actually get a brigade headquarters. Because we are going to need those as well. Currently, the only unit that can direct orbital bombardment is in brigade headquarters, so yeah, we need to have at least some of those to be able to utilize our naval support on the assault of Rome, but we do intend to capture the planet, that's for sure. Our fleets have now arrived in Tunis. We are sending out the scouts to Barcelona and Toulon to see which one of them is weaker to attack. We are going to send a rather fast fleet to Rome to make sure that we can break the blockade there as soon as our scouts are done with their job. We will regroup with the rest of the fleet in Sardinia here, including our tankers, which will be in a separate fleet now. We'll probably send some of the tankers back to Alexandria to pick up more fuel in case we need it, at least on our way back or something like that. We have completed research on longer range fire controls, as well, we started then researching better accuracy in moving targets. Also, the ships that we've sent out are still on the move. It's going to take a while before they reach there, but within a month or two we'll have some results. Our Mediterranean fleet has now arrived in Sardinia. Our scouts are still moving towards the enemy ports, but we should be getting the information within a week or so on which one we should be attacking, or which one is less defended, and of course after that we will do a strike and then pull back, refuel as much as we can. We do have some tankers going back to get more fuel so that we can bring in the ships back into Alexandria or something like that. One of our scouts has now arrived in Toulon, and looks like there's... well, I'm presuming that these 4 classes here are more or less civilian. This one is probably a frigate or maybe a ship of the line, and these are probably ships of the line or something like that. And then there's a few smaller ships. These are likely... actually, I think... I'm not entirely sure, but I think that these are the 7th rates. So there'll be 3 7th rates, then 2 3rd rates, 4 5th rates, then 1 4th rate, then this would probably be a 3rd rate, and these would be 2nd rate. Alright, so there is a decent bit of ships there, but nothing too bad, I don't think. Now, we can only see the thermal signatures of the ships, but I think that's more or less what it is. Right now, so our fleet should easily be able to defeat that fleet, but I'm not entirely sure if we'd be able to defeat that fleet plus the coastal defenses without any losses. There might be some, but I think we would win the raid there, but we'll wait until we know what's in Barcelona. And we now have intel on Barcelona, so it would appear that they only have 1 ship of the line there, and that seems to be 3rd rate. And then we got, or then they have rather, 2 4th rates, 3 6th rate, and 2 7th rates. So it would appear that Barcelona would be weaker defended. So that as well will head with our fleet. And now that we've also have intel on both of those, we'll start sending our other fleet here, which is going to go take care of the blockade around Rome. We'll just go in there, guns blazing. If there's no ships there, then we'll just try to catch up with this fleet. We probably won't be able to, but we can at least go over here to then regroup later on after the raid. Our fleet has almost arrived at Rome, but we see no trace of the French blockade here, so they must have abandoned it at some point. We'll head with this fleet back to Sardinia. After some contemplation, we have decided to split our raiding fleet here into 3 parts. One will go to raid Toulon, and another one will go to raid Barcelona at the same time. Then we'll send in a relatively quick fleet to prevent any enemy fleets escaping from the Mediterranean. In addition, the fleet that was supposed to break the blockade of Rome will stay at Rome to wait our invasion force, because we've already set up orders for 2 brigades of our troops to land there, and we'll hopefully be able to guarantee peace in Rome. Naturally, it's only a peacekeeping mission, after all. We now have eyes on Toulon, and as expected, the enemy ships have retreated from the location, but we should be able to destroy the coastal defenses as well as destroy their shipyards there. The enemy fortifications have opened fire. They seem to be focusing fire on one of our biggest ships right now. There's still a little bit of ways away before we can return to fire, but I'm pretty sure that the enemy fortifications will fall soon enough. This time the enemy has hit our ship a little bit, but no major damage yet. We've opened fire on the enemy fortifications, destroying at least 2 sections of their weaponry. Now that the fortifications are within reach of all of our cannons, we are doing pretty decent damage. We'd estimate that about 1/5 of the enemy fortifications have already been destroyed. Unfortunately, one of our first rates has taken a decent bit of damage already, but of course the more that we destroy their cannons, the less damage they'll do on us, and we'll destroy more of their cannons. We have now destroyed about half of the enemy fortifications, maybe more, and unfortunately the first rate that has been tanking the damage doesn't have a lot of armor left, or it is possible that the enemy will penetrate the armor soon. And so falls the fortifications of Toulon. We shall now destroy the shipyards and then rendezvous with the other fleets in Sardinia. Barcelona's strike force is now within visual range of the port. So far we have no sign of enemy ships, which means that they probably have pulled away. Naturally we'll move in, destroy the coastal defenses and shipyards, and then move back to Sardinia to regroup. Also, our intercept fleet is heading towards the waypoint near Gulf of Cadiz, just so that if the enemy is trying to move away some of the fleet from Mediterranean, because we are pretty sure that they did still have fleets, or actually we know that they had some fleets in both Toulon and Barcelona not that long ago. The enemy has now opened fire upon our ships. Of course, the first salvo missed, as usual. We'll soon sail within reach of our own cannons and start firing back. We have sailed a little bit closer and opened fire on the fortifications, and we can safely say that at least a quarter of the enemy fortifications are already destroyed. They have been firing on our ships a little bit, and most of our ships have taken some damage, but none of them have taken anything significant. Not yet, anyway. We have now destroyed probably about 2/3 of the fortifications. A lot of our ships have taken some damage, but mostly it's just 1 or 2 layers of armor that has been penetrated, so nothing dangerous yet. We have now destroyed the coastal fortifications. We shall proceed to destroy the shipyards and then regroup at Sardinia. We completed the research of the armor in Alexandria, so now we started researching mining improvements. Our Mediterranean fleet has now arrived near the entrance to the Gulf of Cadiz, although the deployment times are already rather high, so we probably won't be able to work on quite full morale there. But we'll leave the fleet there for at least a month or 2, just in case the enemy tries to escape from the Mediterranean, because I'm pretty sure that we got there before any enemy could have gotten there. So if they are trying to move away, then we'll catch them, and if we don't see anything within a month or so, we know that they are still somewhere here in the Mediterranean, we just don't know where. In the meanwhile, the other fleets are gathering up in Sardinia. We do have the fleet that was breaking the blockade in Rome already there, and we do have some transport ships not that far away from the jump point. Still gonna take a while before they get there, but I believe sometime in September or something like that we should start invasion of Rome. Sorry, the peacekeeping operation in Rome. We have completed research on the better gunpowder, and now we started researching better sails for our ships, just so that we can actually increase our speeds a little bit. Our peacekeeping force is now ready to land in Rome, so we'll start that, and we may encounter some resistance from the locals, but we'll sort that out hopefully. As expected, the citizens of Rome were not exactly thrilled to see us, and now we've had to put the city under siege. Unfortunately, we've already taken relatively heavy casualties. About 8,000 tons worth of troops out of the 50 that we landed here, so that is quite sizable. But as long as we can keep digging ourselves in here, we should be taking less and less damage. And we have also done a decent bit of damage on the enemies, but since they've been fortifying for a long while, they were perfectly ready for us landing here. I trust that we can still win this. If not, we'll just have to bring in more troops, but in any case, the city of Rome will be in a bit of a hairy situation. Now that we've been fighting for 2 days, it would appear that this is not going to work. We've already lost nearly half of our men, and the enemy seems to be much stronger than expected, so we'll have to pull back for now. We will return, of course, once we've built more troops, and maybe we can update some of our forces already, because we have gotten the better armor already, and I do believe we might have access to the better weaponry as well. So we should be able to make our troops at least somewhat more effective before we attack again. Our raiding fleets have now arrived outside of Rome, and while we have already withdrawn all our land forces from there, we will begin a coastal bombardment in an effort to try to destroy as much as possible, although we will not continue this until midnight, after which we will start heading towards Alexandria, because our ships need some repairs and overhaul, and crews need a bit of a rest. It's been a long trip here. After a prolonged firing, our cannons are starting to overheat, so we are going to have to cease fire for now. And during this a bit less than an hour that we've been firing, I think we've probably destroyed about 20% of the enemy armies, judging from the signature that we can spot. There's 10,000 tons, but there's probably somewhere between 30,000 and 40,000 tons of actual troops there, which is why we were so badly beaten, because we probably actually had less troops than what the enemy did, and they were fortified. So we took a lot of casualties because of that. Now we have set up updated unit designs that we can research soon, which we'll probably do after we get the fire control speed, and then we can get the new unit types. Then we can build those, and with the new units, I think if we bring in 3 brigades, we should be able to break the enemy resistance, considering that we did inflict quite heavy casualties on the enemy now, with the short bombardment and with the assault, which unfortunately failed, but next time we will not fail. I will make sure of that, one way or another, and of course, next time we can also do the short bombardment, of course. Unfortunately, we may have destroyed pretty much any industry that there might have been left on the city, but we'll have to rebuild it afterwards. We'll just be there in peacekeeping operations, but naturally Rome is part of our empire. We have completed research on the better accuracy on moving targets, and now we started redesigning our fire controls, which will take a little while, but it should be done mostly by mid-January or something like that. And there we have it, that's another year. So this year was relatively good for us, and there was at least a lot more action than previously. So with our raid of Barcelona and Toulon, we destroyed the enemy shipyards there and coastal defenses. We didn't actually find any enemy ships there. And then of course we did try to do a peacekeeping mission in Rome, but that kind of failed. Of course, currently Rome is in ruins after our bombardment there, so yeah, it's not necessarily going to be a particularly great city to conquer for the time being, but we will update our armies and then we'll try again to capture it, for defensive purposes of course. And we have pulled most of our fleets back from Western Mediterranean for overhauls and such. Still have some ships there, but the majority of the fleets are now here. We're still bringing in the troops back from Rome, which is of course going to take a while. In terms of shipbuilding, we are pretty much pumping out as much of the ships as we can, although, for example, Jeddah cannot actually build any, so there is a bit of a problem there. Although we should be able to get some resources from one of these civilian mining colonies there. I don't remember which one, but we should be able to get some of that. In terms of research, we are getting the better sailing technology sometime next year, and we are researching the better research rate. Also, we're making a huge profit cash right now, plus our trade deals means that we will start the year on the positive, and we should be able to keep that up. And then in Alexandria we're getting the mining production, and Baghdad we're still working on the long-range bombardment, which is going to take a while, but we'll get that eventually. In terms of production, there's not really anything out of the ordinary. We are getting a research facility in Jeddah at some point, but that's still pretty far away. We did start that, I believe, at the start of the game, so they're still working on that one. In terms of mining, we're getting a decent bit of minerals, although food is a bit low in terms of increase, but I think we are refining quite a bit of it. If we have a look at the reserves, so we got 7 million in Jeddah, we got 26 in Baghdad, 26 in Alexandria, and 136 in Istanbul. So yeah, we got quite a bit of things going on in there, which is kind of lowering the income. But it's alright. In terms of wealth, we are indeed making a decent profit. We are still producing maintenance supplies, but we will probably be slowing that one down actually even further. Yeah, we should probably stop production in Istanbul actually. That's going to save us a lot, and then Alexandria we can probably stop as well. 130,000 is likely going to be enough for a while. And then Baghdad and Jeddah we have already stopped. So that is going to save us even more in terms of wealth. It's actually going to cut our expenses almost in half. So yeah, we'll be making a huge profit, which means that we can then keep on building ships and all that without any worry. In terms of fleet movements, we still have some ships in West Mediterranean, but they'll probably have to be pulled back at some point because the deployment times are already well over in there. And but we'll first need to repair some of the ships going back to Alexandria because we did take a little bit damage in those raids. Most of the ships are very lightly damaged, but there's one heavy ship that is rather damaged in the armor. Luckily no internal damage, but the armor is not having a great time. We have not started any new colonies yet. I mean, we have a few places where we could, and probably will at some point, but right now it's just not really an option. Then of course we do have 2 civilian mining colonies in the Red Sea, which is rather nice, and it's a fairly safe area for them to be. I don't think there's going to be any enemies. And of course we are now at war with the Spanish and French, because we do feel that Mediterranean should belong to us. For our shipping lines, we have 3 colon ships and 3 freighters, which are turning a decent profit, although the distances are a bit high, so they're not that huge in profiteering, but still it's a decent amount, and they should be able to expand at some point, although that will probably take a while. But all in all, we had a pretty decent year. Other than the loss in Rome was pretty rough. We lost half of our army there, and I think we destroyed maybe 10 to 15% with the assault that we did, and then of course the bombardment destroyed probably another 25% of that, or at least 20%. So all in all, we did do about 1/3 of what they had there, probably. Which is not great, but I mean, we didn't expect there to be quite that much troops. But once we update our troops and build some of those, we should be able to break them, and especially if we land this time 3 brigades instead of 2. But that is about it for this episode, so make sure to check out Lambert's channel as well. Link is down below in the description, but other than that, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.